Hello, and thanks for joining me on today's episode of Simply Saturday, where I get to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. Hi, my name's Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today's card is going to be a lot of fun. I actually have not made this card before, but it's completely imagined in my mind, so we are just going to put it together. So I will be using the Trees for Sale photopolymer stamp set. This is the first time I've opened this set up. I do have my dies, the coordinating dies, tucked in here, but this is the first time I'm going to be using this. So I'm already imagining that we are going to need Christmas greetings and So Very Merry. And we're going to need a tree, I think the smallest tree. So I've got the background of the tree and the detail of the tree. All right, those are the images we're going to be using. So we'll get those mounted on wood on our blocks. Okay, I've started out with the idea for today's card because I really wanted to jump in and use the designer series paper. I've had the paper for a little while, and we actually used a little portion of this paper at our Christmas in July class, which was an in-person class. That was last month. And ever since then, I've wanted to use other prints from this paper. So I'm going to show you that. Let me go ahead and get this last stamp mounted, and then we'll talk about the paper. All right, let's see here. This one, I want to make sure I can read it. Okay. All right, so this paper is called Boughs of Holly. And as you can see, this is what I do for my own cheat. All of the colors that are represented in this paper are shown right here in this ultra tiny print, which at a glance I cannot read very well anymore. So as soon as I get a new packet of my designer series paper, I put it in one of these sleeves, and I've talked about these before. These come in a 3-pack. I get them on Amazon, and I will put an Amazon shopping link in the description at the bottom below this video. You open the little, it says more. When you're looking at the description, it says more. And when you click on that, it opens up the space and you can see all kinds of information. So I'll put the link there. But I tuck my paper into there. Step 1. Step 2 is I just take a Sharpie, and in large print, I write down the names of the colors that are represented in the paper. So that's what I've done. And then I have chosen a card base out of both Mossy Meadow and Evening Evergreen. Now let me tell you another reason why I love this paper, and that is because both the color Cherry Cobbler and Real Red are part of this paper. So I really like that because I'm not stuck to just one of those reds if I'm using choices and selections from this packet of paper. So the paper we're using today is this print. There's the back, and you can even see on this particular print you've got the Cherry Cobbler and the Real Red. I don't even know what color I will decide to use, but we'll pick that in just a moment. So, all right. So what I did is I've prepared actually 2 card bases, and I'm going to show them both to you, and then we'll create our one fast and easy card. So this card base is the Evening Evergreen. It's a very standard card base. So it's 4 1/4 inches by 8.5 inch. I need to start that over. It's 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. So there's our card base. Then I have a second piece of Evening Evergreen cut, and it is just slightly smaller than our card base. So this measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. It's going to go on the front of our card, like so. Then the designer series paper is started out as one piece that is 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And then I cut that piece at the 3-inch mark. So it gave me a piece that's 3 inches and a piece that's 2 inches. So on this first card base, I am going to just flip this over. So we're going to use the front pattern and the back pattern on our card. So I'm going to attach those right now with my liquid glue. I'm going to attach it just to that little single piece of Evening Evergreen. And then in just a minute, I'll show you option 2. Okay, so option 1 is taking one piece of the DSP, cutting it so that you have a 3-inch slice and a 2-inch slice, and you're going to flip the top or the bottom one, whichever one you decide. Okay, so I have my leaves and holly berries, that print at the top, and this is the piece that was cut, and I'm flipping it. I'm going to have the green stripes showing at the bottom. Okay, and that little trick you can do with nearly any of the designer series paper. Often the back of the paper coordinates really well with it, and if not the back of that one, certainly the back of another piece of paper in that same packet. So I love how the papers are designed to coordinate so well like that. All right, so I've got this attached. This is style number 1. And after we stamp our greeting, our words, then this is going to get mounted onto the card base. Let's put that one aside for just a second. So option B, I started with a card base. Now you could have done the same size as the first one, but I chose to cut my paper the other way, lengthwise. So this one measures 4 1/4 by 11 and is scored and folded at 5 1/2. So this one is going to open this way. My next layer is exactly the same size as option A. So this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. And then, okay, so here's my piece that I started with, 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And I'm going to cut it just like I did before. I'm going to cut it at 3 inches so that I have a piece that's 3 inches and a piece that's 2 inches. Okay, so I've got this lined up in my trimmer right at the 3-inch mark, and I'm going to cut. So I've got 3 inches and 2 inches. Now in this particular card, instead of doing like I did on option A and flipping this, instead of that, I'm going to set this piece aside and bring in, same size, a 2-inch by 3 3/4 inch of this gorgeous gold foil stripe. And that is going to be the bottom of this one. So let's attach that, and then I'll show you where I got that paper. As soon as I pulled this paper out, I was already imagining it with some kind of paper that has a metallic shine to it. All right, so that's done the same way. And I'm going to attach this one. Now this is a specialty paper. You can see that there is no print on the other side. So it's not a typical designer series paper like you would usually see where there's a secondary print on the back. But this paper is actually free with a $50 purchase because we are still in the midst of our SaleABration promotion. SaleABration occurs twice a year. Right now, our promotion has been running through July and runs through the end of August. And this is one of the freebies that you can select with a $50 purchase. So it's called Silver and Gold 6x6 specialty paper. And you've already seen the gold stripe. There's also a gold polka dot. And I have another YouTube video up of our Stamp Club projects from this month. And I featured a piece of this paper on one of those projects. And then besides the gold stripes and the gold polka dots inside this packet, there are also silver stripes and silver polka dots. So it's just lovely. I like it as accent paper. I'm sure you could come up with many, many uses for this. Okay, so on our card for today, we have option A, which is just the front pattern and a back pattern from the DSP, or option B, which I substituted the bottom one for this foil. Okay, so now we're going to stamp our words so that we can complete our fast and easy card for today. All right. What I did is I pre-cut a rectangle using the Stitched Rectangles dies. These are available in our annual catalog. There are a bunch of sizes in that one package of dies, stitched rectangles. So I used one of them and cut out a white rectangle. Okay, this is what I'm going to be doing my stamping on. So, oh, let me also mention, because this is going to come up in just a minute, I have a piece of white cardstock that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is going to go inside the card. I really like a white panel, especially when the base is a darker color. All right, so that's going to go on the inside. And I mention that because let's stamp Christmas greetings on that. All right, since I'm completing this one for you, I'm going to go ahead and grab Mossy Meadow and stamp the inside greeting with that. Now, I have not used this ink pad in a little while, so I'm going to grab a test paper. Do you do this? Do you have scratch paper nearby, or even a little scratch paper placemat? Sometimes I have my grid paper down. I'm just going to test it, see if there's anything funky going on or anything I need to remind myself. Sometimes your pad needs inking. Sometimes it's drier in the middle. But just stamping once or twice on a practice page sometimes helps you avoid a mistake. All right, so this is looking great. And I will stamp this, not quite centered in my card, just a little bit higher. All right, and I think while I've got the inside of the card going, I'm going to go ahead and stamp a tree on the inside. Like I said, I haven't made this card before. I'm just kind of freestyling as we go, and it's actually super fun. Okay, so I've got my Mossy Meadow tree inked up. I'm going to stamp it on my scratch paper and then onto my card so that I essentially have a lighter version of Mossy Meadow. I am loving that tree shape. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then here's the second stamp. This is going to put the detail onto my tree. So back into the Mossy Meadow ink. This time I will not blot it on my scratch paper, and I'll put it just right on here. Again, this is the first time I've stamped this, so we're going to both see how it looks at the same time. Oh my goodness. Okay. Love that. That's going to be the inside. Let's go back to our stitched rectangle. Now I'm going to do the other words that I pulled aside. Let's see here. So very merry. And I'm looking at the front of my card. I think I'm going to do this in real red. All right, let's just do it. So I've got real red berries and cherry cobbler berries represented on the paper, so I'm choosing real red. And I'll stamp the words. I'm going to test this too. It's a brand new stamp, never been stamped before. Okay, test is over. I'm going to stamp it over to the right, and kind of near the bottom of my rectangle. Like so. What I'm hoping is to add some trees on here and have it look really good. It kind of would have been good to have maybe a square shape so I have more room for trees, but I think we're going to be fine. So let's add our trees now. I'm going to put another piece of scratch paper under here because I am going to stamp off of the edges of this little rectangle. So move my red out of the way. I don't want to accidentally make red trees. Okay, with my Mossy Meadow then, and stamping some of that ink off. I'm going to put a tree. Here we go. I'm going to put the, did you see me rethink it? Okay, I'm going to put one right here. I think I'm going to do, I'm going to stamp this one. Okay, watch this. I'm going to take the ink off, and actually I'm going to take the ink off a second time because this one's going right over my words. I want a really, really light tree. So that came out great. Super, super light. And then I'm going to do a third tree. Even though I took the ink off only once here, this time I stamped it off twice. I'm going to do stamping off twice again. So once on my scratch paper to take some off, a second time, and then this last tree kind of over here like this. Yes. All right, take the detail stamp of my tree, and on the first one where it's not really covering much of the words, I'm going to use it full strength right out of the ink pad, just like we did on the inside of the card. And then on this one, I'm going to stamp the ink off again, only because the words are showing through it. So I do want it to be kind of in the background. That's working nicely. And same thing here. There we go. All right, let's move our ink pads out of the way. Scratch paper is done. And let's bring this piece in. Okay, so at this point you can decide where you would want your words. They could certainly go down here on this bottom panel. I think I'm gonna have mine kind of going over the seam. And now that I'm looking at it, I think I want a piece of ribbon or twine. So I know I have some white baker's twine. Let me grab that. Okay, so I'm going to get a piece of this. And I'm going to bring it around my card. So in this instance, I might move the words to the left side. So in this instance, I'm going to tie a bow with my twine. This right now is a little bit reminiscent of a card that I taught this month from Stamp Club, where we tied twine around it, just like we're doing right now. All right, so I have my bow, which I can straighten up here in a minute, but I need to decide if this is going to stay over here to the right and my words on the left, or if I'm going to switch it. All right, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to put my bow to the left, and I'm going to tighten it up a little bit because I do want it to be smaller. All right, so I've got him moved over to the left, right over that seam. See what I'm doing? I'm kind of camouflaging the seam of the paper. And then this is going to go right there. I'll grab dimensionals to attach this. So 2 of them might satisfy, but I feel better about using 4, 1 on each corner. And then what is also going to happen is this is going to kind of straddle that twine and hold it in place a little bit. Keep it from straying too far. All right, so I'm tucking that in, covering the twine, pressing that down, and I'm gonna actually retie my bow because I don't like it. It's got like a funky twist in it. Okay, so you've seen me do this before. I'm gonna take a little help where I can get it. I'm going to grab a glue dot with my take your pick tool. And I've got it kind of wadded up like in a little ball. I'm going to stick it right on the card where I want my knot to be from my bow. Now I've got my bow started, the first crisscross is there, and I'm going to press it down into that glue dot. So this is going to do two things. It's going to keep it secure so it won't slide around at all on the card, and it's also holding it in place while I hopefully make a neater bow this time. So much better. Okay, I like my loops much better. I'll grab some scissors and trim like so. Let's attach this to our card base. Dimensionals are going to do the trick here. Mossy Meadow is not a green that I often choose. And now that I'm using it, especially with this paper, I really like how it looks. All right, so there is our raised panel on the cardstock base. The color is matching, and I really like how that looks. What do you think? All right, let's finish it. This needs a little bit of embellishment, I think. So I'm going to reach for the Festive Pearls, which you can find in the July to December catalog. And these are kind of red, well, yes, red, kind of greenish. I think on a certain look, those would almost look blue, but I think they're supposed to be soft succulent. And then you've got silver and gold. So I definitely want a gold one because I used the gold accent paper. So let's put a gold pearl here. I might end up using all gold. I don't know. Let me see. No, I think we'll mix it up. Let's put a red one over here, and I'm going to use 3. So then the question is, do I want a green or a silver over here? 1, 2, 3. I might change my mind. I'm just going to hold this over here and see. Oh yeah, I do like it. Do you do this? Do you fiddle with it to see where it's going to go? I kind of want it to be almost like an awkward triangle, so I'm going to just put it right here. Maybe not awkward, that's not the right word. A wide angled triangle, how's that? All right, there we go. Oh, this one somehow transferred in the midst of my talking. You weren't invited. There we go. All right, let's put the inside of our card where it belongs. Okay, so as I mentioned, this was option A and option B of kind of the same card. So we have this one that is a taller portrait positioning and opens at the top like that. This one that I will finish once I get off camera opens like a traditional card this way, but our dimensions, except for the actual way the card base was cut, are identical. So there are 2 different versions of our card for Simply Saturday today. I do thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, please leave me a thumbs up, and if you would like to leave me a comment, I would so appreciate that. You can also subscribe to my channel and click on the bell, which means that you'll be notified each and every time I put up a new video here on my YouTube channel. In addition, there will be lots of information in the description below this video, including this month's host code. I will also put a link to the SaleABration brochure so you can see all of the items that are available free with purchase. and also dimensions and ordering links as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.